Welcome to another episode of the Agency Ascend podcast, where we spotlight journeys and successes of independent insurance agencies within the Comerica Agency Alliance network. I'm Chad Brummett, the COO at Comerica Agency Alliance, and with me today, as always, is Mr. Chris Derlacy, our managing partner, and Cameron Moore, the founder of ProCo Insurance.
Yeah, actually pretty excited about having you on the show today. So ProCo joined us about 2 years ago. He was our Blazing Star recipient for last year as one of the new up-and-comer agencies, as well as became an entrepreneur in probably one of the hardest marketplaces known in existence for the last 2 years. So glad to have you. Glad to see that you're thriving and succeeding even in this marketplace. So congratulations and welcome.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me. It's an honor.
Yeah.
I'm pumped. And yeah, you said it. The market has been only crazy since I got into insurance. So I'm looking forward to the easy market.
Yeah. The contracts are starting to open up.
Yeah.
That'll be a different landscape for you. So, I mean, just to start, tell me what got you interested in the insurance marketplace to begin with?
Man, to tell you the truth, I kind of tripped and fell into it. I mean, I was headed to law school. I graduated from Texas Tech, headed to law school. Couldn't really afford it, and didn't really like it. I took one law class, and it was tough. Wasn't my thing. So I put my resume out there, got hired by a big corporate insurance company that I'm sure a lot of people know. But I got in there, and I didn't really like the way they did things. But I got to about my 1 year mark and started seeing what renewals could look like. Looking at my cash numbers and everything, and I was like, that's interesting. My day job is time investment for my future. That residual income, that's something you don't find in a lot of sales positions. So I got interested, and then right around that time, COVID hit, and there was an opportunity. You know Kyle, my business partner, who is a mentor, and he was the opportunity. He was kind of like the money behind everything to keep us up.
Did you meet Kyle before, or has he always been kind of a mentor?
Yeah, he has been my mentor since 17. So he owns a number of businesses, but the main one that I knew him through was McCall Property Management. And so I worked for him and did some odd jobs for him and kind of earned some more opportunity throughout college. All 4 years that I was at Tech, I kind of did some jobs for him when I'd come home, or sent out 1099 statements, little things like that kind of showed me the responsibility of a somewhat corporate business. And so we got together and it just worked out. And that's when we found you guys.
Yeah, and for our audience listeners, do you function more in commercial, personal, both?
Trying to function more in commercial. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the business owners themselves. I think in a lot of ways we're like-minded. And also I just think it's stickier. The personal line side has become so shoppy. It's really shoppy, and I still have a lot of loyal clients. I'm happy for that. I'm blessed for that. But at the end of the day, people are trying to save money. Things are expensive. And business owners trust us to advise them more. So right now we're trying to pivot more to a more commercial based insurance agency.
What would you say is the niche that you're currently targeting?
Investor portfolios that we're writing on programs, and then big apartment complexes, condo associations, things like that.
Yeah. That's good.
Hard and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously you have some competition, but it's requiring a different mindset to really understand what you're getting into. And I know after talking with you and seeing your agency grow, I know you cater more towards that certified risk management approach, really understanding what the client's needs are, advocating for them, partnering with them, helping them navigate. And I would say a lot of agents wouldn't take that time, energy to really do that. They're just looking for a quote, to get a quote out. But you guys have really invested into that and partnering with them. Yeah,
advising. That's what I think is important. I just love it though.
So what does that advisory look like, right? Because that's kind of a broad term.
Mm-hmm. It probably sounds so cookie cutter, but I try to take care of every client that comes through like they're my father or my mom. I want to do right by people. I always say, throughout this experience, I was 23 when I got here, so coming up on 28 now, I've learned a lot, and I've learned that if you do everything with efficiency, with integrity, and with honesty, it's hard to fail.
Yeah.
It really is. So advising them in an honest manner, doing right by them. There's a lot of times that if I'm not the right option for them, I will advise them to go a different direction if I can't provide what they need. And I think it's important to remain honest in a world that's losing that, I'd say.
Absolutely. And that's I know my background, that was always a key as well, is knowing what you do and what it is that you do it really, really well, If it's outside your wheelhouse, get them over to somebody else. They'll take care of them just as well as you would, right?
Good business comes around.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, we see the same thing when we're advocating with agents and trying to win them over to the network side. If I'm not going to be their best option, I'm going to tell them, and we're going to find them the right options to be able to manage well. But if I do feel like we're going to be the best, I'm going to be fierce about it. And I know you all share that same mentality, so it's very beneficial. What are some of the unique challenges, obviously starting your agency in 2020, the height of COVID year? What were some of the nuances that maybe I didn't prepare you for, but or that you kind of navigated through and kind of stumbled a little bit? But obviously you're past that stage now, but if you could share in some of that.
Yeah, we couldn't. I don't think anybody could have prepared us for everything that happened.
I don't think any of us knew. But.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there was preparing, but I'd say I'm still struggling to hire people. That's what I'm wanting. I want to grow a team. That's my goal. I want all of us driving up in our dream cars. I don't want to just be the one driving up in a dream car, right? Like I want a team of people. That Wolf of Wall Street with all the crazy stuff. Just having the bullpen. So I've struggled hiring, and I think early on when the market was easier to hire, I think that I wasn't where I needed to be as a manager. I was just a sales guy. So a lot of the time, I think that I didn't devote enough time, I should say, at actually like managing and training. Hired a lot of people who were green to the industry and didn't realize that you really work for your employees when you do that. And so I think at the time I was playing golf with referral partners and still building those relationships. But like I had guys in the office that needed me there, and I didn't understand that at the time. Young and dumb, I guess I should say, but. That I think also with the commercial pivot, because I came from personal lines heavy. So, my first commercial deal was an E&S nightmare that had $1 million fire loss, and I closed it, and it was, like $95,000 in premium, and the biggest premium I'd ever seen was like $19,000 before that because I was in personal lines. So navigating that and seeing the difference, they're similar in some ways, they're different in a lot of ways. I'd say that as well, but. I'm struggling now to hire, to really figure out this, this next stage of growth, and it's just not me being in the office.
I think you make a valid point. It's helpful as any new person that's starting off or any new team member to see kind of some of that experience in action. Be like, that's why I joined this. And you're really displaying, as the leader of your organization, you're really displaying that and putting it on display, as well as your ethics, how you take care of your customer. All of that imparts wisdom and starts to mold the team that you're leading up.
Yeah. The energy you bring into the office, I think, is the most important. I really do. And
we always got to be Santa Claus when the proverbial crap hits the fan.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to take it in stride, right?
100%. Yeah, and I think that's what I was lacking. I thought, hey, I'm doing the same thing that got us here, right? Like the business has grown. These guys got to understand I'm still building this relationship. But, I wasn't able to have perception and put myself in their shoes and say, I would like to see my boss in office every day. I'd want to see them bringing in the energy because I'm sitting here and I've got what he taught me on paper, but I need help on how to say this, and I wasn't there. All right, so I think I lost some good guys in that, but I've learned my lesson, and now when the market gets a little bit easier to hire, I think we're, now that we've got some more capital, I think that's our next step is start building out a team.
What does that future team look like?
I want sales right now. So we use a VA currently. He's awesome. He's out in Nicaragua, and great guy, takes care of me in a lot of ways, does PA stuff as well. So he's doing some personal stuff for me as well, but he's also running the CSRs, He's the only one right now, but I think the next point would be to bring on at least 3 agents that are running. I want at least 3. Somebody gave me some good advice recently that you need to hire in 3s. And that way there is a team there instead of going 1 and then them helping you hire the next people. They need to see other people in the same spot as them. So that's the next goal for me.
I think it's also, and they also push each other is a lot of it. So if they're challenging to be successful, then they're going to be winning together, losing together, and everybody's pushing. Yeah. And that as well as from the not so healthy view of it would be the owner's view of it. It's like, look, I hire 3, and if I make 2 of them work, that's going to be awesome. Even if 1 of them works, great. But I have the better chance when we bring those 3 on.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Competition. That's always been big for me. I mean, I want people to compete with me as well.
Yeah.
Like even when I bring my team on, I'm not stepping back from production. They're going to have to come after me because I'm going to beat them all every month.
I even welcome that on the network side is competing with the networks. Like, hey, bring up the competition. Let's go. I'll sit down side by side. Let's go.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing is I'm going to be made better for it.
Yeah. I mean, I played sports my whole life, so everything was always a competition, So I think bringing that into business is not a bad thing as long as you've got the right reasons.
So speaking of that, I know Chad was telling me about this, but we hit on a little bit before the program, but profit share. You did pretty good this year, right?
Yeah. I think this is the first time we actually got something worthwhile, and it was a little crazy because I've just been running and gunning, trying to produce, trying to retain, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting at the Rangers game yesterday with my dad and his friends, and all of a sudden I get a bunch of emails and texts, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened? And our account's a lot thicker than it was before, so that was something I haven't seen yet, so that was really cool.
I think Wendy, I'll have to give a shout out to Wendy Kresbach because she deals with a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I know we were talking about that, and what I often advise agents to do is like you can do your business plan and your balance sheet based off of fixed value deals because they're guaranteed coming in. But the variable comp stuff that we see, which is impacted a lot by weather, cat events, pigs falling from the sky, I don't know, whatever. I can't base my business model on that.
Right.
And so I often recommend to agents, treat that as icing on the cake. So that way when you're sitting out there at the ball game and you get these things coming in, you're going to be like, holy crap, this is awesome.
I feel like it was a bonus.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. Yeah. It was like a random Christmas bonus.
But and the reason I bring that up, and I think more for the listeners, is as they're planning out their agency and scaling, I don't want to see them get in a position where they're planning on that money being there, and then that next year it's not there, and then they have to let somebody go.
Yeah.
And that's much harder. You haven't had that environment, thank the Lord. And I want to see you be successful in all that you do. And so it's like, hey, let's keep growing, do it right. Which I know you guys are actively looking.
I've seen a lot of agencies outgrow themselves. Like they grew too fast and they lost what it was that got them there. I heard a quote earlier that was like, leave with the girl you brought to the dance, right? Yes. And it's like remain the same. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't see that money coming in and over leverage yourself, just like you wouldn't go buy a Ferrari when you can't really afford a Ferrari, right?
$30,000 millionaire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So on the commercial side, right? So young, just switched over. How are you competing against some of those bigger players that have really kind of owned that space? Because you're obviously doing it very successfully, right? So that's a big feather in your cap.
Yeah, the answer is really simple, honestly. I hear more than I should that people aren't getting back to people in an appropriate amount of time. And with the amount of technology that we have, me being the age that I am, I think a benefit is that I've watched technology and I've been hands-on with technology. My dad was in IT for several years, and so he always taught me to understand troubleshooting technology, using it to your advantages. I mean, you have calendar links. You can line up your day. You can do things.
You can get calendar set up so you can have your customers automatically set up an appointment for you.
And I do. And Luis, whenever my assistant, whenever he takes a call I can't take, he sets a meeting on my calendar whenever they're open. But it's ridiculous. It's a lot of the time I'm hearing these clients call me and they're like, I've called 3 agents. And I'm like, are they already shopping? No, they haven't gotten back to me. And those big guys must be too busy. And it goes back to kind of like I jokingly said, and you mentioned at the beginning, I've only seen a hard market. It's like these guys I've met, I have a lot of good mentors in the industry, and these guys are pulling their hair out. And they're stressed and they hate it here and they want to be done. They're selling their books. They're retiring. They're not having fun doing this. Like I said, this is all I've known. This crazy market's all I've known. So it's still fun for me.
Well, and if any of those are listeners right now, obviously you want to call ProCo because he's interested in buying that agency, maybe bring over some of that staff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we are definitely trying to buy some agencies, and we had a good one last year, honestly, and a big part of the profit share from one of the carriers was because of that. So that already returned a pretty solid amount of investment for us. But yeah, man, it's just over communicating. It's like picking up the phone, taking care of the people that you talk to when you talk to them, committing to a turnaround time, being honest about it, not saying, hey, I'll get it for you this.
Yeah, you're demonstrating an accountability to your customers. And, you're not just sitting back going like, hey, I'm an insurance guy. I'm just going to go golf and do whatever. You're saying, no, I'm going to be accountable to this. Whether I'm on the golf course, whether I'm at the family table, wherever I'm at, I'm going to take care of you. So give me a holler.
Goes back to the efficiency too. That's just what it is. It's efficiency. And I think, why am I beating out those guys when they probably know more than I do? It's because I think that I find a way to be more efficient. And I don't really hang my head on when things get too stressful, when things keep coming in. I'm not hanging my head because I've never seen the great market they had 20 years ago, right? So this is normal for me, and that's fine with me, and I'll keep pushing.
So it'll be really interesting to see when the market gets back to normal.
Whatever that looks like.
Whatever that looks like, right?
What's the new normal?
It is what that looks like for your organization and how much growth you'll be able to put on that fire at that time, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We don't know what's next as far as what that looks like we said, but I'm excited to see something normal.
So what type of tech are you actually using, or is there anything big on the horizon that might be coming down the pipeline for you?
Yeah, I've been a big proponent of better agency. I've done what I could. I actually met him here at a COE meeting the first time. Nick Ayers, shout out to him. He just went through a big sell. He sold the glove box, and I've been using glove box. And I think glove box is building out an all-in-one system, and I like them because they're innovating. Me being the age that I am, and like I said, been around technology since I was little, the other management systems, I didn't feel like they were moving fast enough. And they're already starting to tie AI into my management systems, into my CRMs, whatever it may be. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually on some type of advisor board for them because I have both Better Agency and Glovebox. So we've been meeting with them a little bit about what we should keep, what we should scrap and stuff. So they may value my opinion slightly. I don't know. And then I use Canopy, obviously. Canopy is awesome. But I've got a lot of automation that I've built out through my email, automatic responses, automatic folder splitting up. I mean, things like that. Service, obviously, all goes to a service box, and then it uploads in my management system. It's the little things. I mean, I don't think I'm doing anything that's like revolutionary.
Right.
I think that there's a lot that I should have done sooner. It's kind of funny when you sit back like that and you're like, man, I should have been doing this 5 years ago. But
But you're still maintaining the client relationship. You're still taking care of the customer. You're leveraging the technology so that you can be more efficient.
Yeah.
I mean, the title of this podcast should be Efficiencies. Essentially, how to do things right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm not replacing myself with technology. I'm using it to double myself.
Right.
I'm trying to get it to clone me, using automation to do that.
Yeah. And one thing you mentioned was some of these things you look back 5 years ago you should have done. Mm-hmm. So if you're to take, this might be a kind of an obscure question, but I'll throw it out there anyways. If you're to take yourself 5 years from now, look forward and looking back, what is it that you should be doing today that maybe you haven't contemplated?
5 years is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
I think that 5 years from now, I'll probably say I should have done a better job leveraging the relationships I already have in the industry. Obviously, without Kyle, ProCo wouldn't have ever been anything. But the people who have mentored me, it's funny. People want to see you succeed, especially when you're younger. They look at you and they're like, man, I wish I'd have been in the industry at your age. Here's the mistakes I made. Here's what I did right. Here's what I think you should do, from my opinion. You get enough of those and you basically have a cheat sheet. It's like sitting there on a test that's open notes. That's what you are whenever you have mentors like that, people who are willing to pour into you. You guys, Comerica, I can call Chris. He picks up on the second ring no matter how busy he is, right? So, we'll sit there and we'll be at the Lone Star Conference where I actually met my beautiful girlfriend. Funny enough, I was sitting next to him in the bar. We were playing that shuffleboard, and she came walking by, and I tried to get her to be my teammate. She said, not a chance.
He was distracted.
Yeah, I was distracted.
From the moment from then on.
No, he sat there and the whole night we're drinking beer, but we were talking business like the whole time, and he was telling me, this is what I think you should do. This is what I've learned here, because, he's been in this industry, young.
I wish I could say I intentionally do that, but the reality is I don't know how to shut up about it. In fact, on my dating profile, it said, I don't know how to stop talking about insurance. It's one of my flaws.
Well, you should start a podcast.
Exactly. It's a great idea.
That's why we're sitting here. But yeah, that'd be my answer. Continue to I will probably wish that I created more relationships with men that are where I want to be. Men and women that are where I want to be in 5 years. So.
And that's wise, because looking back my own career, I could definitely say the same thing, right? And because those relationships, that's really what expands beyond our reach. And it's also not just in the industry, right, but outside the industry. So expanding those customer relationships and everything else, that's awesome. So from the last 4 years now with SIA, what's the biggest takeaway if you're to tell somebody coming in new do this day one other than call Chris, right? Because we all want to call Chris on day one. But seriously, right? So another young entrepreneur starting up, what's like that one piece of advice that you'd give back to them the same way your mentors are giving back to you?
Lean on them. I mean, Comerica does, care. They always, since day one, they've made me feel like I was, y'all took a chance on me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously, they took a chance on me. Where we came from, Kyle having never been in insurance, only having a number of other businesses, and then myself being in insurance for literally a year. And Chris looks at me and says, I'll take a chance on this kid. Like, we'll back him. And that's crazy. I was 23 years old and been in the industry for a year.
And to my credit, though, you demonstrated that you did the research, you knew where you were going, you had a mission, you had a path forward, and you weren't going to give up.
Yeah, that's never been something that I'm good at, is giving up.
Exactly.
I'm going to remain that way. But that's what I'd tell somebody coming in. I'd tell them to lean on these people. And you said, other than calling Chris, I think I'd say don't be afraid to, because these people care. Yeah. Like it goes back to what we just talked about with relationships. Like, these are relationships. And ProCo would have bombed if we tried to do it on our own. We wouldn't have been able to get the contracts in the hard markets. We wouldn't been able to learn a commercial as fast as we did without, Nikki Dawson. She was literally in my office several times trying to teach me the basics of commercial when I had only understood personal lines for a year.
She's still working on me too.
Yeah, well, she's the mom of the group, definitely. She takes care of us. I told her I'd name drop her too, because she has done a lot for me as well. But yeah, it's just that. Just lean on the people that are here. They really want to be here. You're not just a check to Comerica. Like, they want to help you.
Oh, absolutely. So with Nikki, I mean, she is an absolute phenomenal person, right? And the risk that Chris talked about, but he also mentioned something that's really, really key. And I think this is not just for new agencies, but also any existing, is having that plan, right? I mean, so knowing what it is that you're going after, how you're going to get there, what those milestones look like. How is it that, to your credit, at 23, you knew that's what you wanted to do? How you put that together? Because I can tell you, Chris is a sometimes cynical, critical cookie to crack. So
thanks. I'll take that as a positive.
And I mean that in the best possible way, right? But he is that way because he's protecting all of our member agents, right? He wants to make sure that he's the gatekeeper, that we get strong, positive people coming in. So he is tough that way. So whatever you did was super impressive. So what was it that made you actually have that? Because that's a lot.
Jesus.
That's perfect answer, man.
Thing. I mean, there's nothing that I have or that I've been that I could do without Jesus, and I think we connected on that pretty early.
Yeah.
Being man of faith, I think that was it, and He's gifted me with a lot of things. But coming in, I've just been hungry. I didn't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah.
When I was at the big corporate company that I was at and seeing kind of the hierarchy, it was like my biggest complaint was just these other people who were dictating what I would do day to day, where I would spend my time, what I could write, what I couldn't write, what I was being paid. And it was everything to get away from that. It was like, I want to be my own boss. I'd rather fail at 100 different things trying to be my own boss and trying to do my own thing and walk my own path, than listen to somebody else and slightly succeed. Everything else has just been, it's timing. It really was. That's why I say Jesus too, is like when we got into the market. Yeah. If we came in 4 months later, we're not getting the big contracts we needed. There's no chance. So it was timing too. And
he's over there going, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Do you trust me? And you're like, yeah, 100%. I'm gonna follow it.
And, obviously the mentors that I have, that I'll always say that, because between that and Jesus, I'm just the kid. That's what I was. And then lofty goals, being competitive and looking around, getting invited to our first COE meeting and like it being clear, hey, we haven't earned this yet, but they see that we can. And it was like looking around at these other agency owners that were very impressive. I was like, I want to destroy y'all. I love y'all, but I want to destroy you. And I think that setting lofty goals, and even when we fall short, we were still successful, whatever success is to anybody. I think, I've just been so fortunate.
That's awesome.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I think faith plays an important role for not only your character development, but when the proverbial stuff hits the fan, being able to push yourself into that next stage and knowing that, hey, God goes before me. I'm just following what He says to do, and He told me He has me here. If you have that, that's going to give you that inner strength to basically deal with the nuances that are coming and being flying at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You're not going to be the old guy that's sitting there pulling your hair out going like, I can't deal with this. It's going to be like, no, this is the time I need to buckle down. I got to be that advocate for my clients during this time. I got to take care of my family. I got to do all of these things. So it's buck up, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that another thing that I realized over the last 5 years is that being that young, kind of arrogant kid, Jesus kind of melted that arrogance into just like faith. I think that's what it was. It's just like faith and like solid confidence in that, if I'm doing everything right, I don't have anything to fear. Going back to the integrity aspect, I don't have anything to fear if I have integrity.
Yeah,
it's good.
Absolutely. And that lack of fear also helps you charge forward through that tough market, but also is patience, right? Because this market has tested a lot of people's patience, so giving you that ability to stick through it.
I'm not a very patient man. Still,
I don't think any of us are.
I'm not, but I'm working at it.
Yeah. Fair enough. So moving forward, your commercial growth looks phenomenal for the year.
Start hiring people.
Start hiring some people. What is it that you would look for more support outside in the industry, right? This is that opportunity for that open mic call, right? What is it that we could do to help ProCo, or that?
I mean, it really is like trying to find good teammates. Like if y'all could push people our way that maybe don't align with what Comerica's trying to do, and you think they would align with ProCo more, because that's what it is. It's alignment with personalities.
Well, and even if we find some agencies that have some of that staff that you could look to acquire, because I know you're actively doing that. I will say, and as a benefit to some of our listeners, we do utilize something called Culture Index, which we're a big fan of. But it's a assessment tool that we can see kind of what are your God-given talents within an agency. And obviously you work through us. It's free. It's part of our membership and offering. So we can sit there and identify, okay, if you've got a candidate, to have them take this assessment, I'll partner with you to say, okay, this is where they're leaning towards. If they're customer service or they're sales oriented, what that autonomy drive looks like. It's got I think it's got like a 90% accuracy rating, and it only takes 5 minutes to do. And this is not a shout out to them, although if we should get sponsors. I'm thinking down the way. Have them give us a couple bucks so I can pay for it. But so as you're stepping out and looking for those talents, obviously I would also push you to get involved with IIAD, Independent Insurance Agents of Dallas. There's a guy by the name of John Spicer.
Yes, I'm on his list.
Excellent, because he sends out referrals on there. What we can do is take those guys, have them do the culture index, and then I can actually advocate to you how you should set up their training program, what their needs are going to be, as well as you can reach out to other agents. But there's tons of opportunity for finding that. I think we're going to see more and more in our industry alone. You're going to see a flock of people come into it. I know we're going to be going down to DBU here with C12. Where we're going to be talking to a bunch of the grad and post-grad students and looking for opportunities. So bring along your resume of not your resume, your
job description.
Description of what you're needing.
Yeah.
And we'll look to partner with that, as well as if you got somebody that's kind of on the bubble, doesn't know, have them come sit next to Nikki. Like that's how you learn. And so it's just like, hey, come see if this is going to be a good fit for you. I like your drive. I like your energy. Take a chance. Yep. Come on.
I love it. Yeah.
And one of the coolest things about whether it's Culture Index or other tools out there, the coolest part about them is it actually helps you as a leader figure out how to communicate best for them.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that as leaders sometimes we struggle with, right? Is we know how we like to be communicated to, how we like to communicate out, but we don't necessarily know what they need.
Right.
So these tools, that's the biggest thing from personally my standpoint, is it helps us communicate back into the team the way they need to receive it.
I see it.
Yeah. Well, there's one profile that if you put on the stage and give them a plaque or something like that, they will hate you because they're like, they didn't want to be on stage to begin with.
Yeah.
Versus probably like you or me.
Love
you put
to be
me on
center of
stage.
attention.
Yeah. Hey,
Sure.
Well, you more so than me. I like to be the guy in the back room that nobody knows is there, that gets to run everything and get left alone. That's usually how
I'm as extroverted as I could be.
See, I'm an introvert. I know insurance. That's all I know. Like, leave me alone.
No, it's interesting you say, I mean, I should do better with in historically using the index, because my background from college, what I studied psychology, and I read a lot of books that are psychology, focused, and I'm so
nonverbal
interested
cues,
in it.
checking,
a lot of things like that. So it's no brainer that an index can basically predict what their psychology, like where they come from, their psychological factors that will affect their job and what they're doing for us, with us, whatever it may look like. I can see it's important.
So let me get this right. Psychology, law school.
That was the goal. Yeah. Insurance.
Then insurance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I may have not just didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But when I was studying all my friends, it's funny, all my friends were in the business school at Texas Tech. And I was actually going to mention I'd like to get a booth there at one point in the business school. I didn't go to the business school because I just thought of college as being like, you know what, I want to do something I'm interested in and then go into law school. So psychology, I just gravitated towards it. I was undeclared and I took a freshman intro to psychology course. And it
mind blown.
Explained to me basically what everybody was around me. And I could see things differently. Like I actually got more patient with people. It was weird because I understood that 99% of the time what they do has nothing to do with me.
And that's why your girlfriend was attracted to you.
Well,
you had patience.
Maybe,
that's what it was.
Don't ask her on camera if she thinks I'm patient. No, it really is. Everything's psychology.
Yes.
Everything it's mass psychology.
So, all right. So I'm a little bit of a psychology geek myself. So what area of
now
psychology
you're going to start talking about left brain, right brain.
Just one quick question. So what was it? Was it like IO psychology? What?
I don't even know what that is.
Industrial organizational psychology. Because that was actually my undergrad.
It was like an undergrad intro course. It was just the basic like functionalist versus conflict theorist. But it just kind of taught me this guy, I can't even remember his name, the professor, but he was tenured, so he did whatever he wanted. He was an amazing guy. Was also on the side of pastor. And so it was a really interesting dynamic because you see a lot of those psychologists, are atheists or something because they're more science-backed, but he wasn't. So he brought in Christianity and as a whole and kind of brought it into psychology. And it made me see people in a different way, like why somebody may lean more towards feeling like victimized or, what leads people to destroying their life out of nowhere, just different things, things that you see. All of us have the fruits and nuts in our families. And we're like, why are they like that? And then you start learning more as you get older. It just taught me how to better, I think,
if you don't have any fruits or nuts in your family, you are probably the fruit or the nut.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Look in the mirror.
But yeah, it was just the basics. And I'm not, as well studied in whatever you mentioned. I had never even heard that term either. What did you say? IO?
IO, industrial organization.
Okay, good. So I wasn't the only.
No, I had no idea.
Well, I mean, so in my experience, I went to business school. I took psychology as an opportunity because I figured it was going to be an easy class. I got into the first I dropped it because I was like, they were going left brain, right brain, and I was thoroughly just like, I thought I was an intermediate, and I was like, no, I'm going to stick to business. That's logical. This is not, to me, was not logical.
I don't know. To me, psychology makes things more logical. It makes intangible emotions make sense to me when somebody does something that doesn't make sense.
You're saying intangible emotions. I first have to know what emotions are. See, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not
I say
Mr. Spock.
I'm Mr. Spock. Yeah, exactly. Live long.
My best example is, and we kind of got off topic, but my best example is like driving down the road. Somebody cuts you off and then flips you off. It's like most people have a reaction to that, but because I'm so interested in psychology, understanding immediately,
did that person have a bad day?
They've got something going on I can't understand. You have no idea what they're going home to, what they're coming from. If they just came from the hospital and somebody's dying in their family, you have no idea what's causing that. So knowing to back off and not act aggressively has helped me in a lot of ways, obviously with driving, but also in business. If somebody snaps off at you, in my interpersonal relationships, if somebody snaps off to you, hey, instead of like reacting and taking it personally, which I'm not perfect, obviously, but instead of immediately taking it personally, getting to a place of, hey, where's this coming from? Where's your heart at? And Macy probably hates that because I always say that. Where was your heart here? Like, where are you coming from?
And
it helps in business big time. I think it does because it doesn't let the clients get to you that freak out. And that's what I mean by psychology's made a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. Well, but then also it teaches you how to listen and try to find what the underlying real concern is. That helps you better
Minister to them.
well said.
That's what it is.
Minister to them, cover those risks, right? So
Well
I mean,
said.
talk about for insurance is making sure we capture all their risk.
100%.
If we can identify what those hot buttons are, it helps us be a better servant to them, which is phenomenal.
So, change pages super quick. How did you come up with the name ProCo?
It was kind of, I think it was kind of a play on words, like professional community insurance, because, there was some, like from my end, I think Kyle really like brought it up the first time, but then in my mind it was framed, like we had a couple different choices. We definitely weren't going to use anybody's name. We wanted to stray away from that. It just felt trusted. I don't know. It kind of clicked with us.
I mean, you talk
really
about
odd.
the community. That's a huge...
Yeah. Being professionals in the community is kind of like where my mind was at. I don't know where his was at whenever it just kind of fell together.
Probably need to ask him.
Yeah, I probably should. Maybe he saw, a big sign for ProCo Roofing.
Wonder if he knows like the Greek or Hebrew and he's over there going, no, well, it's veritas and it means truth. And you're just like, wait, what? I didn't know that.
I don't know. I like to say, whenever somebody asks me, I like to jokingly say my old company had no professionalism and they didn't care about their community. So we're trying to do it the right way.
That is perfect. That is perfect. Well, Cameron, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on with us. Before we wrap up, we do have a tradition here. We like to ask for either a favorite quote, recent book that you've read, magazine article, newspaper clipping, something that's just made an impact with you that you'd like to share with our audience.
Absolutely. And thank y'all for having me. It's been fun. It's been an honor. It's only my second podcast, so I think it went really well. I don't know.
It's only our fourth or fifth, so it's all
beautiful.
good.
No, at this point, I think we're at 8. No,
Hey, good Lord. Well, I'd say my Bible verse is Colossians 1:29. I work hard and struggle for my goals with God's energy that works in me powerfully. And that's something I've kind of always, back in baseball, I would write it on my wrist inside of my little Evo shield and stuff. Was never a great baseball player, but I sure did have fun at it. But yeah, I'd say Colossians 1:29 for sure.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I would say, so I was going to go with Jeff Van Duzer's Why Business Matters to God and What Still Needs to Be Fixed. But after listening, it popped in my head. There's a book called Unoffendable. It's by Brant Hansen. Highly recommend it. It was honestly one of the, when I was going through my divorce and, business was rocky, divorce, everything, and I was dealing with anger issues. I was popping off. My team was like, "Oh my gosh, you need help." That book was one of the major contributions to help me not do that, and that way I could still be a viable leader for my team members and wasn't bringing that toxic environment back into it. Because, as you know, being a business owner and everything, stressing out all the time, that you need to be taking care of yourself, because if you don't, you're not going to take care of your team very well. And so Unoffendable is story after story of people passing that righteous anger. They're saying, hey, look, I'm not gifted at that. I'm just going to pass it over to God. Let him handle it.
I'll take a look at it for sure.
It's excellent.
I will say, I'll add on the entryway in, I don't remember the exact quote. You might know it. Y'all have Psalms 55:22. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but I looked at Macy and I was like, that's amazing. I don't know how I've heard that in this context. It's like in that little box.
Well, so we hide a few key things. We're not there with what's the fast food restaurant? In-N-Out Burger, where you put it at the bottom of everything. But you'll see it out. And just because you were talking about, that's why I was asking about the company. But Coverica stands for company, Veritas, which is the middle, which is the Greek word for truth, and then America. So that was the idea behind it. So,
That's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, I've never known that. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Then for me, I'm actually going to hit a rerun.
Okay.
Inner Excellence. We
still reading it.
well, actually, no. So it's some of this conversation. It's when we start looking beyond the words, right? Anybody that's read it, I challenge you to go back and reread it, but think about what reference to Scripture you can actually pick up on it.
That's really good.
Because it's one of those books. So he intentionally wrote it trying to be kind of an agnostic view, right? But you just cannot escape the references to Scripture throughout the book. And when you read it through that lens, it completely opens up the message. Or at least for me, it did. So I would challenge anybody that's read it, reread it through that lens.
Beautiful. What was it again? I'm sorry.
Inner Excellence.
Inner Excellence. Okay.
Yeah, you saw it on the Super Bowl.
Yes.
The guy was reading on the sidelines.
And all right, so shout out to James Wong. I'm going to give him full credit for this, but he's like, that's the reason why it took him so long for the book to go as famous as it did. is because he was so abstract about the religion part to it. It wasn't until he released his second book where it was actually more God forward that popped off in the Super Bowl, and now he's everywhere.
I love it.
So I like
That's
that.
awesome.
Said.
Well, sweet.
So-
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. So for our audience, until next time, keep it building and keep it ascending.